There's a phrase in this week's Torah portion with which we're all familiar. Love your neighbor like yourself. Now imagine, you buy a lottery ticket. You come home, you check the numbers, and you find out that you've won $1 million in the lottery. You're going to be pretty happy. 3 weeks later, you buy another lottery ticket, and you win another $1 million. You're going to be going bananas, doing the happy dance. But imagine that it wasn't you that won. It was your friend that won that first lottery. He or she calls you up, gives you the news, I won $1 million in the lottery. Now, you're a good guy. You're not the jealous type. You're going to be very happy for your friend. But what about that next phone call 3 weeks later? When your friend, the same friend, calls to tell you, you're not going to believe it. I won $1 million again in the lottery. Now, of course, you'll tell your friend, oh, I'm so happy for you. But inside, you might be thinking, I don't believe this. That's not fair. What about good old me? That's what the Torah is telling us we have to work on. You have to get to the level where you're as happy about your friend's good news as you are about your own. And conversely, you have to sympathize with your friend over his or her suffering and feel it, and feel the pain of it as if it was your own. One commentator says that if you want a more nuanced or different, deeper understanding of the phrase, you have to shift the comma over. The phrase as appears in the Torah is ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, and you should love your neighbor like yourself, comma, ani Hashem, I am God. But if you slide that comma over, you can read it as follows, ve'ahavta l'reacha, and you should love your neighbor, comma, kamocha, ani Hashem. Like you, I am God. God's telling us, to the same degree that you love your neighbor, that's how much love I'll show you. And consider this story. A woman once went to her rabbi for advice. She said, Rabbi, I am a Kala teacher. A Kala teacher is someone who teaches brides. So she would teach women before their wedding the laws of separation, ritual immersion in the mikveh, and give them advice about their wedding and about marriage. And she said, Rabbi, over the course of the years, I've had so many students and I've developed so many relationships. Most of the time, things go well. But sometimes they don't. And when that happens, these brides, these married women, they call me and they lean on me for advice. And they tell me horrible stories about marital strife and discord and financial woes and health problems. And it's very difficult. I don't know if I can keep doing this. So I'm thinking about quitting. I want your advice. The rabbi said, can I ask you a few questions? She said, sure. He said, how is your own marriage? She said, my marriage? My marriage is great. I mean, occasionally I get into an argument with my husband, but we make up. Our marriage is rock solid. The rabbi said, how about the finances in your house? Are they okay? She said, look, we could always use an extra dollar. Who couldn't? But we can pay all our bills. Thank God, no complaints. We're doing well. And the rabbi asked the final question. He said, how are your kids doing? They're doing okay in school? Are they healthy? She said, my kids are doing beautifully. Thank God they're healthy. Occasionally a bump, a bruise, somebody gets strep throat, but they're healthy, they're thriving. Fantastic. The rabbi said, here's my concern. Life is like a highway. Sometimes it's sunny out. You've got your yummiest drink in the cup holder and your favorite song or class on the radio. There's no traffic. You've got the top down. You're cruising. But other times, there's traffic. It's snowing. It's raining. There are potholes. You get a flat tire. You run out of gas. You've got problems. Life's the same way. Sometimes you're cruising, and other times you've got all sorts of problems. No one makes it through their entire life without some degree of suffering. Only God knows the reasons for the suffering. Maybe it's a consequence for something you've done. Maybe it's an opportunity for reflection and recalibration, or something else. Maybe up until now, God, in his infinite mercy, every time you were due to have some suffering, God gave it to you through others. Now, I understand that's difficult. It requires broad shoulders. It requires patience, sensitivity, sympathy. But my concern is that if you quit your job, perforce, the next time God decides you need some suffering, he may have no choice but to give it to you in your own home. And I'm not so sure you would prefer that than to have to listen to the suffering of others. Now, I don't know what that woman ended up deciding, but my guess is she's still out there teaching brides, sympathizing with them, sharing in their joy, loving her neighbors.